Hey everybody, this is your Digital Super Saiyan 3 back here with another video, and this time around I'm doing a prediction video of who should be in the WWE Hall of Fame to join The Undertaker. You know, since The Undertaker was announced to headline this year's WWE Hall of Fame, I decided to do a prediction to talk about the other people who could possibly go into this class with The Undertaker. So me, personally, these are just who I think will go in or who I think should go in. So, I feel like it's about time I talk about these people and who I think should go into the WWE Hall of Fame class of 2022 with The Undertaker, who I think is going to go in with The Undertaker in Dallas, Texas on WrestleMania week. Or for the weekend of WrestleMania, for WrestleMania weekend. So here we go, the WWE Hall of Fame Class of 2022 predictions alongside The Undertaker, since we already know The Undertaker's already confirmed to go into this year's Hall of Fame, so these are who I think are going to go in with him. So, representing my tag team that I'm going to be putting in is Brian Knobbs and Jerry Saggs, the Nasty Boys. Now, the Nasty Boys have definitely won their fair share number of tag team titles in many different promotions. But in WWE, they are one-time WWE Tag Team Champions and three-time WCW Tag Team Championships. And yeah, they had one Tag Team Gold in other promotions as well. Saggs and Knobbs are known for their nasty attitude and, well, rubbing their opponents' faces into their really gross pits. And they live up to the name Nasties very well. Heck, the Nasty Boys were even included in the 50 greatest tag teams of all time that WWE basically did last year alongside the 50 greatest women. So, I'm glad that the Nasty Boys were included in the top 50, and I feel like now is the perfect time to induct Brian Knobbs and Jerry Saggs. So yeah, Knobbs and Saggs for the WWE Hall of Fame, and the person who I think is going to induct them, obviously because of working relationship, the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart. Because when you think of Knobbs and Saggs, you think of Jimmy Hart, and also because Jimmy Hart has had a real-life friendship with these guys, especially Brian Knobbs. So, yeah, I definitely think Jimmy Hart will induct the Nasty Boys. So I definitely say Brian Knobbs and Jerry Saggs, the Nasty Boys, to represent the tag team spot. Next up, now we need a mid-carder guy. So a lower mid-carder guy to be going in, because there's always going to be a lower mid-carder guy going in. And that guy I chose is Val Venus. Now, I know Val Venus's gimmick was a porn star gimmick that he did, that he portrayed a porn star gimmick. But keep in mind, it was the Attitude Era. It was the era of really raunchy TV. So keep in mind, Val Venus was a gimmick of the Attitude Era. He was a part of the Attitude Era. And if you want to... And yes, The Godfather got in, so why can't Val Venus? Val Venus, like the aforementioned Godfather, was a champion in WWE. He has held championship gold in WWE. He's a former tag team champion, intercontinental champion, and, of course, former European champion. Yes, Val Venus even held the intercontinental title twice. And, of course, he was also a member of Right to Censor at one point, and even changed his name to Chief Marley and tagged with Lance Storm, and filled in for William Regal after William Regal got injured, I believe. So, yeah, Val Venus has been a tag team champion, once with Lance Storm, and I believe the other time with The Godfather, as part of Right to Censor, as he was also part of the RTC with the likes of Ivory and The Godfather. So, I believe, yeah, Val Venus should go in. Yes, I know his gimmick was that of a porn star, but come on, it was the Attitude Era. Of course, really raunchy and edgy gimmicks were going to be a part of it. So, yeah, there's that. I can't see why not Val Venus going into the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, he was very popular during the Attitude Era before he went over to the RTC. I mean, sure, he became Val Venus. Sure, he started wearing the towel again until after he was kayfabe fired as Chief Marley and then became Val Venus again. So, I believe Val Venus could go in, yeah. He was a very popular actor in the Attitude Era. And who I think should induct him is a fellow alumni who was in the RTC, and that would be The Godfather. So I think The Godfather should induct Val Venus. Okay, so I got the Nasty Boys, and I got Val Venus. So next up would be, for the women's spot, this time I decided not to talk about a female wrestler, but how about a female ring announcer? And that would be ring announcer Lillian Garcia. I think now would be the perfect time to induct Lillian Garcia because she had the tenure alone in WWE. She had a very long tenure. I mean, she came in during the Attitude Era, during the middle of the Attitude Era, then was there throughout the entirety of the Ruthless Aggression Era, and even during the... then even until 2016, then she left and JoJo filled her spot in as the ring announcer, but she did make frequent appearances after 2016, so, I mean, she was a part of the Raw Legends nights. So, obviously, yes, I want to see Lillian Garcia go in, because, I mean, the tenure alone speaks for itself, and yes, she did have one match under her belt, which was a tuxedo match with Howard Finkel. I mean, since Howard Finkel's in the WWE Hall of Fame, why not include Lillian Garcia? And the person who I think should induct Lillian Garcia, I'm picking a former alumni of ring announcers, Tony Chimmel. I think Tony Chimmel should be the one to induct Lillian Garcia. So, yeah, Lillian Garcia for the WWE Hall of Fame to represent the female to be the female inductee, because there's always going to be a female inductee. Maybe I might be wrong, maybe Lillian is not going to go in this year, but maybe, I hope to God, Lillian does go in, so Lillian Garcia for the WWE Hall of Fame all the way, baby. Next up. Alright, so now we're going to talk about someone who's no longer with us. And this guy was supposed to go into the WWE Hall of Fame back in 2018. There was rumors or plans to bring him in, but, you know, they never fell through. So now would be the perfect time to include this guy, and he is no longer with us. He tragically passed away in 2007. And that would be Bam Bam Bigelow. I feel like Bam Bam Bigelow has not... There was plans to bring Bam Bam into the Hall of Fame, and they didn't even fall through, so now is the perfect time to induct Bam Bam Bigelow. I mean, he's been gone for nearly 2 decades, so why not include Bam Bam Bigelow into the WWE Hall of Fame? Now, there's a lot of talk of who can induct Bam Bam Bigelow. Who should be the one to induct Bam Bam Bigelow? And obviously, I could probably think of one guy to induct Bam Bam Bigelow, and that could possibly be Bret Hart. I don't know, because Bret's not doing anything, so I feel like Bret Hart should be the one to induct Bam Bam, even though there could possibly be other people to induct Bam Bam Bigelow, or maybe RVD should induct Bam Bam Bigelow. Rob Van Dam should induct Bam Bam Bigelow because of their relationship in ECW, because... I mean, even though Bam Bam never won any titles in WWE, he did do work in WCW and ECW, and he did win titles in both ECW and WCW, so he's a former WCW Hardcore Champion, former WCW Tag Team Champion as part of the Jersey Triad, or maybe Diamond Dallas Page should be the one to induct him, so yeah, maybe Diamond Dallas Page could be the one to induct Bam Bam Bigelow. instead of Rob Van Dam. I mean, he was part of Diamond Dallas Page's Jersey Triad with Diamond Dallas Page and Canyon. And he was also a former ECW World Champion and former ECW Television Champion. And yes, he even won Tag Team Gold in Japan with the likes of Big Van Vader. So, yeah, Bam Bigelow for the WWE Hall of Fame. I mean, it's probably been long overdue, so... Although I may not be the biggest Bam Bigelow fan, I can recognize the man, has his accomplishments and has done his stuff during his career and paid his dues. And transitioning into pro wrestling is not easy, especially since the fact that Bam before he became a pro wrestler, he was a bounty hunter. So there's that. And also, Bam has such an iconic look to him. Like the flame tattoo on his big bald head and the flame ring attire that he always comes out wearing. I mean, that's just so memorable whenever you think of Bam Bigelow. His ring attire or the tattoos on his head and his large, massive frame. So, yeah, Bam Bigelow for the WWE Hall of Fame. Okay, so we got one deceased wrestler, and now we gotta talk about the celebrity induction, because, yeah, they brought back the celebrity induction with the likes of William Shatner, and, of course, Ozzy Osbourne. So... I'm actually thinking of someone who is no longer with us again, and is someone who should have gone into the WWE Hall of Fame back in 2016, but got traded out for Snoop Dogg. As much as I love Snoop, don't get me wrong, I love Snoop, but I don't think he should have gone into the Hall of Fame just yet. I think this man would have made a much better choice to go into the WWE Hall of Fame. And this is the late, great Regis Philbin. I mean, we tragically lost Regis Philbin 2 years ago, back in 2020. So I figured now is the perfect time to induct Regis Philbin. And the man had wrestlers on his show back in the day, back in the 90s, back in the 80s. Regis Philbin had many of the WWE superstars on his show when he was still alive. And he even was doing commentary during the main event of WrestleMania 7, calling the Sergeant Slaughter Hulk Hogan match. Oh, and of course, Regis Philbin also had that very, very memorable interview segment with The Undertaker at WrestleMania 7 when Paul Bearer and The Undertaker were measuring him. So, in a sense, yeah, I think now would be the perfect time to induct Regis. Now, who would be the perfect person to induct Regis Philbin? Well, none other than, I think, the Hulkster himself. So I think Hulk Hogan should induct Regis Philbin. Anyway, this has been your Digital Super Saiyan 3, and I will see you guys next time for my WrestleMania 13 review. See ya!